You're listening to the Blizzard Community Podcast, produced by geeks, for geeks. Welcome to Geeks of Azeroth.
Hello. Hi, Internet. Welcome to this very special ASMR edition of Geeks of Azeroth. My name's Tarly. And with me, as always, I've got Icarus. Hello. And in the left-hand corner, we have Brigitte.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 186 of Geeks of Azeroth. My name's Tarly, and I'll do the whole intro again. I've got it, Chris.
Hello.
And we've got Britza. How's it going?
That was in our ears. That was actually in my ear. Oh.
Yes, I hope that did something for our listeners, good or bad. I don't know.
Good or bad.
Well, it's been another week. Icarus, we'll start with you. What have you been up to?
I finally got ahead of the curve on my shaman. Finally did it.
Very nice.
Heroical Dan. Gahoon.
Gahoon.
My bad. Still in the last expansion. Yeah. Honestly,
well, congrats.
I kid you not, that fight is so strange. Like, if you can't run the orbs, yeah. Destiny vibes from it.
Yeah. Well, they've been doing raid testing on Heroic Jaina on the PTR, and wow, that fight looks interesting.
She ice blocks
That's gonna
your
be a fun
bloodlust.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Britza, what about you? What have you been up to?
So I actually still played a little bit of Diablo. So nothing. Just still working my way through that. I'm really enjoying just having a game that. How can I put it? That I can take at my own pace and not feel guilty about it. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just nice. It's nice, and you know what? I'm actually really enjoying just Diablo in general. Let's put aside all the stuff.
What's your item level in Diablo? What are you keeping up? Are you supposed to be?
I'm not, and I do get flamed regularly because I don't know how to play my character. But hey ho! But on a serious note, that's kind of the fun thing, is that I can just play a character, and I'm not, and it's so antisocial, and I can just do my own thing and not have anything to do. So actually, I'm actually really enjoying Diablo. But saying that, I did do a bit more Warfronts in WoW, and actually checked out the raid content for All Dear. You know, I'm still that LFR baby who's as casual can get when it comes to raiding. So, and actually, wasn't my New Year resolution like to get more into raiding? I think it was.
I think it was.
So yeah, I've got like a month maybe to try and change that. I've just realised. But hey, yeah, no, really enjoying Diablo.
Nice. Myself, just playing a lot of Overwatch again. Ashe released this week, so she's overpowered as hell. And immediately following Backlash, Blizzard put Golden Bob on the PTR. So yes, you will. If you get the gold weapon Ashe, you will get a full Golden Bob as well. Pretty awesome.
How is that not a thing to begin with?
I know.
Like, right?
But it's awesome that they're adding that change. She's super good. She's definitely not meta changing, but some changes that are coming, which we'll talk about in a minute, are meta changing. Otherwise, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Super fun.
Is that actually like a fun game? I'm looking for a new game to play, and it's like that or Fallout 76, the dumpster fire that is. So
yeah, it's amazing how much it is like. I mean, I played Pokemon Yellow as a kid, and it's that game. So if you played Pokemon Yellow or Red or Blue, it feels exactly the same, except for the catching wild Pokemon. You don't have to battle them; you just catch them. That's like the only difference.
So that's really the only difference, is you catch all your Pokemon, and like it's basically the TV show. You don't have to beat the shit out of the Pokemon to catch it.
Yeah. And the battle system's still the same. You can still name your opponent whatever you want. So mine's named Ass Clown. So Ass Clown has appeared. Oh no, let's fight this guy again. But Yeah, and then there's other stuff added because the Switch has a touchscreen, and I don't play it in console mode. I play it in handheld mode, and you can like pet your Pikachu to keep it happy, or your Eevee, whichever version you get. Apparently, if you play in docked mode, the controls are awful for catching Pokemon. Like you have to use the motion controls and try to throw the Pokeball. If you play in handheld mode, you don't have to deal with that stuff at all, which is nice.
Would you just set it in the dock and take the Joy-Cons off?
Yeah, but you have to like do like wave, like throw the Pokeball.
Yeah, you flick it like the good old Pokemon Go flick.
Yeah, but you can miss.
You need to be using your Master Balls then.
Exactly. Enough about Pokemon. Let's talk about Blizzard games, I guess.
Nah.
While they still exist.
Let's get into this Overwatch. I have things I need to talk about.
Yeah. So I apparently closed my tab with the notes in it. So excuse me while I be a good show host and pull this back up. We're gonna start with a certain game turned 10 this week. That was Wrath of the Lich King. Came out 10 years ago. This week, man, I feel old. So that's when I started playing the game.
How do you think I feel?
I mean, let's if everyone's talking about Wrath, let's not forget that Warlords turned 4 as well.
Right, the big anniversary there.
But everyone forgot about that because
Wait, that was a thing?
Yeah, it was. It was. But no one remembers it. I know Wrath was a really good thing. I know 10 is a really important, reaching a decade, WoW, and Wrath was the pivotal moment in WoW, but I do feel bad that Warlords kind of got shelved for it. I know no one feels bad for it, but Warlords wasn't terrible. Okay. Yeah.
It's no worse than Battle for Azeroth.
Do you know what that really means? Wrath being 10 years old? That's 9 years. I still haven't gotten that fucking invincible mount.
Same.
Right.
Yep. Same.
Yep. Same.
Got 4 characters parked out of ICC at this moment, and all they do is I log on Tuesday, run it through, don't get it, get disappointed, log off. 3 more times.
At least you got Mimron's head. At least you made it that far.
Oh, that's something. Yeah.
Which we all lost a slap bet over.
Gary lost a slap bet yesterday.
So yeah, Wrath is 10. Tweet us if you feel old, just like we do. You know what else they showed? I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter, but Taliesin showed a picture of himself when Wrath came out, and boy, he looked different.
Really?
He really looked like Alan Wake in that picture.
Should we recall, Tarly, what we did when Wrath came out? Because I remember it quite clearly. We sped home.
In high school? No, that was Cataclysm.
Oh, that was Cataclysm. We totally were like, fuck the rest of school and just...
Yeah.
What was your favourite part of Wrath?
Ulduar. Easy.
Ulduar.
Yeah, Ulduar. The second I heard that the first boss of the raid was like, you get vehicles and then you get thrown on top of it, I was just like, this is some groundbreaking things. Let's never set foot in Nax again.
For me, Ulduar was the first raid I ever went into, and I'm like, this is raiding? Is every raid going to be like this? And then everything else released since has subsequently been a disappointment, but Ulduar, good memories.
I think.
What about you, Brits? I mean, Oh yeah, go on.
I was gonna say, I think Ulduar is like the first real raid that made the whole wing system work, kinda.
Yeah, it was huge, and it just had such a good sense of scale to it. Yeah. Brits, what about you? What's a good memory?
Well, I think it probably seems a bit cliche, but the Death Knight starting campaign, I really loved it. I just loved the idea of how the Death Knights turned their back on the Lich King, and not because of anything other than the Lich King just doing some really terrible stuff. And like that opening campaign, which spoilers, I guess, but again, you've had 10 years to play it. But when you open up that campaign and you have to brutally murder one of your friends to prove your loyalty to the Lich King, I thought that was just really cool. So yeah, I'd love to see more stuff like that. I know we've got the allied races and things like that, but it's nice to see where it all probably began. So, wow.
And now I know that if you have to prove your loyalty to I'm gonna watch my back because I know he'll just kill me.
Yeah, instantly. I would have done it even if the Lich King hadn't asked me to do it.
Oh, okay. If I see you at BlizzCon next year, I'm turning the other direction. All right, moving on. Let's talk about some controversial changes coming to Overwatch. So, it's really interesting, the timing of this, because earlier in the week, Seagull, who is a professional Overwatch streamer, former member of the Dallas Fuel, he released a 20-minute video that gained almost 1 million views right away, gained instant traction, and it was him talking about why Overwatch is not working, why it's failing, why it's going downhill. Just talking about how Blizzard keeps introducing characters that just essentially kill off other characters in the game, just making characters completely useless. Mainly talking about Brigitte. When Brigitte was introduced to the game, and ever since, people have hated her, people have petitioned to have her removed from the game.
Really?
And it's just caused a mess. Yeah. The competitive scene hates Brigitte. It's interesting, and he just goes on to talk about the state of Overwatch and how it's very unbalanced and counters just don't work. Like 2 days after this video released, Blizzard's like, all right, meta sweeping changes, here we go. Pretty interesting. So the first character on the chopping block, if you will be Brigitte. She's getting her damage significantly nerfed, in a sense that her shield bash is going from 50 damage to 5. That's huge.
What?
Yeah, from 50 to 5. So that's going to put her shield bash very much in line with McCree's stun. Like, you can kill someone with McCree's flashbang. It rarely happens unless they have like 1 health, but it can happen. Now the same thing's going to be with her shield bash. Way less of a damage ability. She also, when you use shield bash, you can normally jump like 3 feet forward. That no longer happens. She is stationary when she uses shield bash, can no longer be used as a movement ability or a gap closer. And she can no longer bash through shields. So like you can't stun a Reinhardt or an Orisa or a Winston who are standing behind a shield. That I think is one of the biggest changes right there. Making her way less offensive, way less of a like push into the enemy team type character. And it's not a straight up nerf. What they are also doing is increasing her passive heal from 80 to 100 heals, and its cooldown reduced from 1.5 seconds to 1 second. And I think they're also reducing the cooldown of her E ability, which is her direct heal. But I don't see that here, so I might be wrong on that, or they might have already done that. So, but basically these changes to Brigitte definitely change her from being less offensive and more that original idea of a tank healer hybrid that she's meant to be. Like, I personally, I love Brigitte. She's one of my favorite heroes to play. This is going to be an interesting change. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I haven't tested it out on PTR yet, but I can say it's probably going to be better overall for the game. Even though, I'm kind of not too excited about it. What do you guys think?
Right. I haven't played that much Brigitte, so on paper it sounds like, they've definitely taken a hammer to her. No pun intended, but I fair enough. I guess if it makes her competitive, and I guess, going back to what you were saying when you started this, if it means she becomes a valid option, again, then that's better. There's no point having a great character that no one plays. So, fair enough.
What do you think here, Chris?
I'm seeing like this Bastion update, though.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have limited what they did to Brigitte to just like 1 or 2 of these things, not all of them. Because I feel like as a shield bash, you would move a bit, not just like, because it was a good repositioning tool. Like, on so many places, you could then run and then dash up to another place and get to a teammate who needed your assistance. Now you're going to be like, here's my E, good luck, be brave. Or, like, and also the no stuns through shields, like, Reinhardt's going to go back to being basically, you have a Reinhardt and then whatever the other tank wants to be. Like, he's going to become really strong without a Brigitte just going no shield.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't think her place in the game was ever meant to be as offensive as she was being used. Because she's just super powerful, and she's supposed to be a healer, right? So I don't know. It is interesting, but just her ability to just constantly stun, knockback was just making the game very frustrating.
Yeah, I could see like maybe a cooldown increase would be a little bit more of an appropriate balance, but it's like they basically just crippled the only good healer I have. So sorry guys, that's on you.
What do you think? There's a limit ultimately to how many characters Blizzard could competently balance in Overwatch. Like when it gets into 50, 60 characters, do you think they're going to have to start removing them because of how one character just undoes the meta of a whole series of characters, or what are they going to do?
I don't think so. I mean, look at League of Legends. They've got...
Yeah, that was the point I was going to bring up. Once you get so many champions, there will become certain like champion pools. Like you'll get these 3 to 5 champions that work perfectly together, and then like you'll see 2 of those, and you'll be like, "Oh, I know who the rest of their team is." Because if they don't have these other 3, then those 2 picks are irrelevant, and it's going to start being wombo combos like the old Zarya Diva thing where you just drop the bomb in the middle of the Zarya and just like, good luck, enemy team, and you can't even Winston shield that because everyone's stuck in the center of it.
Kale likes my mug. Yes, thank you. It's Tracer. So yeah, and on the hero balance thing, I'll make a last point once we continue. Once we get past all the other changes, because there is something else coming down the pipeline that will significantly change how people even pick heroes in the first place. But so yeah, you talked about the Bastion change. He's getting more ammo in his recon mode and his walking around mode, up 35 from 25, and his weapon spread from Sentry is decreased up to 33% while firing, which, I mean, to be fair, is right along. They did the exact same thing to Orisa. Definitely helped her gun. So this is going to make Bastion just sniping Pharahs out of the sky, probably.
Who the fuck is Widow anyways? Like, why?
Right.
I'm just going to snipe you with a turret.
All right, guys, here's the new meta. You get a Bastion and a Mei, and you just Mei wall them up to ridiculous locations that only Widowmakers could get to, and then you have an unkillable Bastion just...
Plug a Mercy in behind him as well, just with the damage boost.
That was assumed.
This part
Good morning, Alisander in the chat. Yeah, so an interesting change to Bastion. I don't know. I don't know if it'll really change how he's played a whole lot. People are still really hyped about playing Torbjorn instead still, because he is OP. Man, I was playing last night, playing competitive. Hi, Robin, in chat. Hello. I was playing competitive last night, and I just saw the best combo. It was Zarya ulted their whole team, and then Torbjorn just molten cored all over them. It was beautiful. Cool. It was like a whole team kill. I love new Torbjorn, man. He's amazing. Let's see. Doomfist. His rising uppercut no longer causes loss of air control, or at least the loss of air control has been lowered from 3 seconds to 0.6 seconds. So if you get knocked up, giggity. If you get knocked up by Doomfist, you maintain control for most of the time after that. And then his seismic slam, maximum range reduced from 20 meters to 15. So just kind of an overall nerf to Doomfist. Again, it seems like they're just kind of pulling back the ability of heroes to overall control other heroes with the stuns and the knockbacks and so on and so forth. I don't know. I think overall a good change. Let's see, McCree's Peacekeeper alternate fire damage increased from 45 to 55.
I think that's actually a really good change, because not a lot of people would take the time to fan fire. They'd either stun and then basically shove the gun into the enemy's face, or they would just like stun and 2-shot them in the head. I think this gives them more of a, I don't know, practical thing where you can just start fan firing tanks, so they either have to disengage or, die.
One of the two.
Yeah. Well, and if you remember old McCree, like he could flashbang and right click a a tank to death, pretty much. So I wonder if this is going to bring it back to that level, or if it's just more of a slight increase. We'll see. Maybe it's Blizzard's way of saying, yeah, we put Ashe in the game, but don't stop playing McCree. She's not that much better, right?
I'm super disappointed in myself for not playing Ashe yet, because I was super excited when I saw her release. I was like, this is the character that get me back in Overwatch. Still haven't played it.
She's really fun. Trust me, really fun. So if you weren't enjoying new Torbjorn enough, they've increased the damage of Molten Core from 130 to 160 per second.
Sheesh.
Yeah. New Torbjorn's amazing. People can't even get mad at you for playing Torbjorn, which, I mean, kind of ruins my trolling ability, but that's okay. I get to play Torbjorn and enjoy it. He might actually be my next gold gun.
Why is there not a mini game in Overwatch called The Floor is Lava?
There should be now. Just a giant Torbjorn standing, just molten core all over the place. And
you do like Nepal, but you only have it the middle checkpoint area, so everyone's stuck in just infinite special ammo. So everyone's just shooting lava at each other.
I
it's just
love
6
that.
people.
Do it with low grav mode too. So you
It's
can
like Minecraft. Oh, I thought you said low graphic mode. Oh.
No, low grav, not low graphic. And then, so this wasn't on. So one other thing I wanted to talk about Overwatch before we move on. This isn't on the notes here, but I did see an interview from BlizzCon with Papa Kaplan. So a popular feature that has been wanted for a while, and we thought we got an instance of it, but not quite. Roll queue. Papa Kaplan confirmed they are thinking about it, and they are most likely going to implement it. And he said that this kind of change is so big, it's as big of a change as when they implemented limitations on the heroes that you could play. If you remember, when Overwatch first came out, you could have you could have 6 tracers on a team. That was okay. And that was a pretty big change, and people weren't quite sure how to deal with it when they first initiated hero limitations into the game. So he's talking about roll queue. He says it's going to be that much of an impact once it finally comes out, which I agree, it probably will be. I don't know how roll queue will essentially work in Overwatch. You're gonna have to set a meta, right? Like, you're gonna have to queue up for 2-2-2 probably, 2 TPS, 2 tanks, 2 healers. I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting system, but to know that it's coming, I think is good news.
My question is like, if you queue into the role of support, are the other heroes just grayed out for you? Like, are you not allowed to select those? So just so you can skip a queue time, queue as a healer, and then say, screw your team, I'm playing Soldier 76?
Right, that is the interesting thing. I think they would have to do it in a way that you are locked to the role that you pick.
Like, it's either that, or they'd have to make the consequences for not selecting your role, like, actually enforceable. So if you get reported for not playing your role, you get banned if it's investigated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a possibility. Because they already have the system in place right now where you can just the group finder system where you can select what role you want to play, but you're not tied to a hero. So I feel like if they do roll queue, it will lock you into place. I don't know. What do you think, Britta?
I don't know. I just really... well, I think roll queue makes total sense. I really don't, because you look at the whole... I don't know. I'm finding it hard to articulate, but it just seems like 90% of the problem that happens with Overwatch is the fact that a lot of the competitive play lacks elements of structure that so many other games have just taken for granted. So, yeah, I think they should put it in, but saying that, I don't play Overwatch enough to argue how it would affect the experience.
I don't play Overwatch that much. I just have, like, you just... strategy, I guess. I'm just OCD about it. Like, if you have to do the 2-2-2 method, what happens on Lunar Base where they siege up really heavily and you need triple tank and you need a Winston to dive in there, but you one of the DPS was like, oh, I can Winston, but sorry, the game won't let me.
Right, and if we're having these conversations here, they're obviously at Blizzard HQ having these same type of conversations. So it's going to be interesting how they implement it. Obviously, we don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but it's interesting that it's on the pipeline, that he's opened up and said, yes, we're working on this feature. So I don't know. I feel like it will help the game overall when it comes out, because there is a lot of toxicity just based on hero picking alone. So I think a role queue can help.
I was just going to say, I sense what they'll do is they'll probably release it in a separate game mode as like a way to test it and see how popular it is, and then maybe go from there. Because I do accept your point here, Chris. I think there are certain metas, particularly in the league, where you want to switch to some completely left field meta. So, and that's kind of the charm of Overwatch, isn't it? I don't know. Do any other games like in Overwatch's area or genre do role queue?
I don't think any other shooter-based like competitives allow you to switch characters on the dime, though. That can allow you to be like, oh shit, this isn't working. We're going triple tank now.
Right. Imagine if Heroes or League allowed you to swap what hero you were playing at any point in time. That would completely change the entire nature of the game.
Oh my god, it'd be chaos.
Yeah. So I don't know, but so I mean that's the fun of Overwatch. So that's why the idea of a role queue can fundamentally change what Overwatch is, depending on how they implement it. So it's a feature to look forward to, see how they implement it. It's definitely cool that they're working on it, and we'll see what they do. Moving on. So some interesting news coming out of an article this week. It's kind of spoiler, I guess, for an event that happened almost 10 years ago. But in an interview, Alex, I don't have his last name, member of the writing team at Blizzard, he was talking about Sylvanas and talking about how people were upset with some of the decisions she has made lately, like burning down World Tree, stuff like that. And he just candidly mentioned, well, I mean, she's been doing bad stuff for a while, like when she did the Wrathgate. And everybody's like, "What? Hold on. What?" This was one of the writers for the WoW team confirming that Sylvanas ordered the Wrathgate.
Okay, I have one question. So, wasn't Sylvanas in charge of the Forsaken before the Wrathgate event happened?
Mm-hmm.
So wouldn't it have already made sense for her to give the order as the leader of the Forsaken to bombard the living shit out of the Wrathgate?
It makes sense, but we've always been led to believe that it was Putris and Veramathras who were behind everything, and that led to that whole siege of the Undercity. To take it
you're
back.
right. I totally forgot about that. My bad.
Which, it's easy to forget because they removed it from the game.
So, yeah.
Actually, that even makes even more sense for Sylvanas being such a terrible... I almost said a very bad word right there. A terrible person. And she probably even set up these two to be like, I forgot the word. The lackeys to take the fall for it. So just like, I'm going to do this terrible thing, blame them, get away scot-free, and I get to be war chief. I mean, she didn't know that at the time, but,
And yeah, Alexander, definitely, we were led to believe that it was Putris, and we never would have suspected Sylvanas at all. Nobody ever thought Sylvanas had anything to do with it until this conversation came out this week. So is this a retcon? Like, are they just now deciding that this is how it happened? Or, I mean... They never mentioned Sylvanas, so it technically could have always fit, but it feels to me like they're going to retcon this to be a part of just ultimately the whole bad guy Sylvanas storyline that they're ultimately building towards. And we got that confirmation from the Q&A that there'll be an opening in the Horde leadership soon. So this could just be another way that they make her appear worse. Like, this could come out later in the story, like, oh, she's behind the Wrathgate event, right?
Yeah, mate. I mean, it would explain the cinematic at the end of the Siege of Lordaeron, because that basically is a mini Wrathgate in a sense.
Right.
Lure people in and poison the place. It seems obviously linked, so it would explain that.
I have a question for like you two, I guess, less for you, Britza, because you're an Alliance player. Like, we get to choose who the next war chief is, right? Saurfang or Sylvanas?
No, that quest line doesn't choose a war chief. That just you're basically picking sides.
Okay, I was like, I mean, that's.
But I'm honestly willing to bet that Thrall's going to be the next war chief.
No.
Thrall will make a comeback.
No.
I'm willing to bet. Chris Metzen shows up at the Q&A and asks, when do we get the true war chief back, in Thrall's voice. I mean, it's like he did that as a hint. And then they answer the question with, there may be an opening in the leadership soon and we'll give you a call. Like, come on, if that's not hinting at things to come.
Yeah, I mean, can we just res Vol'jin again? He did a good job, right?
I don't know. I'd be happy to see Thrall come back, but I don't know. I've moved on to the Alliance, to greener pastures, to better things.
I don't know. I think Lorthamar's worth a go. He's not completely out of it. I guess there's a lot more elves in the game than there were back then, so
yeah,
it would make more sense.
No, just make a Volpira the war chief.
Oh no.
Yes, Daz in the chat, who doesn't want a little more Metzen in their life? I think we all do. I think at this point we just need Metzen in our life. Can we just bring Metzen back as CEO of Blizzard? I think that would just solve all of their problems.
No, I don't know. I don't think it. I think the great thing about Metzen
Candy Crush Thrall Edition.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think the community's missed Metzen for his spirit. I don't think he. Right. I get a sense, again, going back to that Scott Johnson interview, that he doesn't really want to work at Blizzard. I think he was done with a big international business like that. But I'd love to see him back in the story. I just don't want Thrall as war chief, because it feels like, I don't want to come full circle again. Because then I don't know. Because I'd like to see a non-human king as a leader of the Alliance. I'd love to. What if we got Tyrande? Shadow Tyrande, Bat Elf.
It would totally make sense if they killed off Anduin, because that would kill off the bloodline, right? Because he doesn't have any kids, so that could totally open up the Alliance to the same thing that the Horde's been dealing with. Oh, Blizzard, you could have some good storytelling there. Exactly. Kill Anduin. Hashtag Kill Anduin 2019. Let's get that trending.
So I've looked some things up, just quick Googles and some posts here. Apparently in the Chronicle, it actually states that she was betrayed by Putris and other guy, whose name I'm not going to butcher. And then in the interview, he clearly states that she knew, I guess. So they're contradicting themselves, literally. As all retcons do.
And that's the thing, is that this could be just like this. What was that? Didn't Tom Chilton say something similar when Warlords was coming out? Like, he said something about the plot, and this isn't the first time, I'm sure, that Blizzard employee has said something about the plot which wasn't strictly true.
Well, hey, don't you remember Garona and Medivh had a son?
Exactly. I think we're in retcon territory.
Yeah,
we're here. And also, you're right, Icarus. I think she got betrayed, and there's kind of this fudging about whether she was aware of it. But the connotations are that she's been like this for a while. But then again, I guess it would just big up the idea that we've got to get rid of her, which is where the story's clearly going. So it doesn't change much, really. But it does have an impact on one particular character, i.e. a possible descendant or an actual descendant of Bolvar. Because it means Sylvanas killed her daddy.
Alessandra just made a good point in chat. The line after Anduin, if Anduin were killed, the heir to Alterkim. I think we're missing a letter there. I'm not quite sure.
Alterac?
For Pennelled around Stormwind Castle for 15 years now. The family that betrayed the alliance with the Horde. I don't know that storyline. I'm not quite sure who that is, to be honest. Alterac. Okay. Interesting. That's a storyline I'm not familiar with.
Is that the Stromguard? Trollbane? Is that what we're talking about? The Trollbane should come back? I mean, that would be a great plot line. Imagine a civil war like Game of Thrones. A live version. Yeah.
So there's one last topic I want to touch on before we hit 20 questions here. So we're going to move on. So I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this. As far as we know, there are 3 big bads left in the Warcraft canon that we've known for a long time. And one of them has even been added since Chronicle. But we've got Queen Ashara and we've got N'Zoth. So those 2 have been in this WoW lore forever, and they're like the last remaining big baddies that we've known about. And then in Chronicle, we learned about the Void Lords, how they are. So we've got those kind of now the ultimate big bad. So my question to you guys is, we're at least dealing with Ashara this expansion. We know that for a fact, and we're most likely going to be dealing with N'Zoth as well. Where does WoW go after we've dealt with all the big bads that we've known forever? Where does WoW go from here? What do you guys think?
Brits, I'll let you go first with this one, because mine's going to be another one of those, like, bust out the tinfoil hat for Icarus.
Caverns of Time expansion. Just do that 7 out. I don't know. Part of me screams that, I was right about the Hosen, because there's Hosen everywhere in Kulturas. I think there's an invasion coming, and we need to fight back. But I don't know, actually. On a serious note, we've got the Ethereals. They've been picked up as a possible big enemy. I mean, I don't know how that shapes up. I've got no idea, and I don't know the lore enough to know whether we'd have to go fight their planet or vice versa. But
World of Warcraft Hello Kitty edition.
Yeah, why not? It's marketable. The Blizzard store would love it. I'm not sure, actually. I probably need a second to think about it. But there's definitely... I mean, the way we got Gahoon...
I forgot about Rathian. I definitely forgot about
Rathian. I mean, and also Gahoon. So, that proves that you can kind of make an old god. Although I think Taliesin brought out the good question, is an old god old because it's old? Or is it just like... Is it an old god the moment it's born? I think that's a really good point. We could spend an expansion answering that question. But I guess where I'd want to go, and I realise I'm dragging this out a little bit, maybe to give Icarus a bit more time, but I would personally... I think we need... What's going to happen with Sylvanas, I think, is that she's going to be... She's kind of getting... I think she's an agent of something else. I mean, the fact she's got Xalatath makes me think that the Void Lords are working with her. Or not necessarily. I don't know, actually. I don't know. But she's an agent of something. I would like to have an enemy who is just a jerk. Like, isn't an agent of the Void Lords, isn't... corrupted by some evil sword, isn't corrupted by this or that, just is actually like, I want to take over Azeroth because I'm the only one who can look after it. Like kind of a, what am I thinking of? Civil War, no, Infinity War.
Thanos.
We need a Thanos, but not literally universe-ending Thanos. Just someone who literally says, I'm the only one who can save...
They're going to go full Fortnite. They're going to put Thanos in the game.
Okay, well, Britta, I argue that your point that they're already doing that. What if Sylvanas is just using the Void Lords to help her fuel her war against the living? Because that's basically what Thanos is doing. He wants to kill out half of the fucking population. And if Sylvanas is going to conquer worlds, she's going to need an army. So she's just going to turn everybody she can. And then after that, the only place left is outwards to the other planets, which... Someone pointed out in chat, like there's a lot of planets we could go to potentially. Like we saw that in the raid. But,
yeah,
it's interesting because the way they could go. I mean, I think it's a good direction because they're finally going to stop pulling just from all these old tricks out of a hat. Basically, like they've had all of these things for a long time, and we're finally reaching the end of this large pool of characters, and what they can basically do is they can come up with something completely new that we don't know about. Maybe, I mean, having Ashara or bringing Illidan back like they did last expansion, that brings hype for old players, sure, but I don't know, I'm more interested in what else they could create. I mean, obviously the Void Lords is something so relatively new to the Warcraft canon. since Chronicle. It's cool to explore that. Rathian is, new since Cataclysm. It'd be cool to see what he's doing. I don't know. Maybe we'll actually see that back half of Azeroth that we've been always wondering about.
So I want to quickly add what I think they're probably going to end up doing is if they do get it to the point of the Void Lord, so we would deal with N'Zoth and Ashara during this expansion, and then after we deal with that, the power vacuum would then be filled with the Void Lords. But after that, what happens? I bet due to some sort of catastrophical mess up due to our part, because why not? We're the heroes of Azeroth. Of course, we mess something up. I bet we pull another planet near us that's like Argus, and we end up having like an invasion defending type situation for an expansion, where the whole expansion, like the first 2 patches, are like we're defending our place from their invaders, and then the next half is we're invading them, kind of like how we did with Argus, but more of a planetary scale.
Planetary war fronts.
I think Warcraft is ultimately going to turn into StarCraft.
Yeah, and then it just well, like, what are we like? What
And then
else
become
is
a
there
dead
to do? If they give us Atlantis, like that's just shooting yourself in the foot. Everyone hates Vashir. What? No, that's not it. What's the underwater place?
Ny'alotha.
What?
Is it Ny'alotha? You mean coming up, or
No. Like the dungeon place in the beginning of one of the expansions that I'm blocking out right now.
That was Vashir.
Oh, it was Vashir. Okay, yeah, yeah. So like, yeah, let's have a whole expansion of that.
It'll be interesting, I think, either way, to see where we go. I do feel like the Void Lords will be that ultimate ending to World of Warcraft, just because we got that comic before Legion came out, where we had old man Anduin, ready to face off against the Void Lords. So whenever that happens, I feel like that's a ways in the future, if we even get to that point in game, before we see World of Warcraft 2.
That would be super shitty for Blizzard to do. Just like after we kill the Void Lords, they're just like, all right, we're done. We're doing Warcraft 2. Enjoy leveling characters again.
And this one's free to play, filled with microtransactions, because that's where Blizzard's going. Anyway, we're running out of time, so we're moving on. It's time. Everyone's favorite part of the show. It's time for Blizzard 20 questions.
Geeks of Azeroth, the moment has arrived. Have you studied the lore? Studied the lore? I am the lore!
Rapid Fire Edition.
It's time for Blizzard 20 questions.
Are you doing?
I don't know what's going on. We're just gonna go right into it. No, it's not Rapid Fire Edition. I've got a little bit of time. We're okay. Actually, we will do it semi rapid.
semi-rapid?
Semi-rapid.
Briskly.
Like a brisk wind.
We're gonna set a timer. 10 minutes
What?
on the clock. I've got the answer. You guys got the questions. Let the questioning begin.
Is it from World of Warcraft, Charlie?
No.
No,
Not from World of Warcraft.
Okay, I'm stumped. Okay.
Is this person part of the StarCraft universe?
No.
Fuck. Well, we're already in too deep. We might as well just go down the ladder.
We might, yeah. we got to commit. We got to commit.
Diablo?
No.
Overwatch.
No.
Is it part of the Nexus? The Nexus?
No.
Okay, right. This is going to be like an employee. You're saying we got. 5 questions in, and it's not part of anything. What?
It's not part of any of the universes? Did we miss one?
Yes.
Is it? Well, I guess there's the Lost Viking universe.
Well,
No, hang on. WoW, StarCraft, Diablo, Overwatch, Nexus, Hearthstone. Hearthstone's, but I don't. Hearthstone's a kind of. Oh, we might as well ask it, mightn't we?
Yeah.
Is it from Hearthstone? Is it in Hearthstone, Charlie?
I'm gonna have to check.
That's not a good.
If it's not, this is going to be a weird one.
It is in Hearthstone.
It is, you don't sound happy about that.
I'm gonna have to.
Hold on. Are we gonna have to do like an Icarus
I'm gonna have to
thing
go
where
back.
there's
I'm
gonna
gonna
be
have to
some
go back
lawyers?
as well. There on question 5. I won't say it originated in the Nexus, but it exists in the Nexus as well.
Okay, that's something to play with, though.
In a way, not directly, but in a way.
Okay, so they just exist in the Nexus. Okay, that's useless. Never mind. It's like a fucking minion or something.
Yes, Kale. to answer Kale's question, they did just ask if it was from WoW.
That's the. Is this found in Warcraft?
Yes.
There we go.
On question 7.
Yeah, we're gonna nail this one. We're gonna nail it. What's the time?
Okay, wait. If it's found in Warcraft, but it only exists and not directly part of the Nexus, is it like a foot soldier or something like that? Okay,
yeah.
No. Let me phrase this properly.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a minion?
No.
Of any way, shape, or form?
Do we want to phrase it? Is it
Is that what you're asking?
and then
Well, I'm trying to get it so like it would include the minions and heroes, but also the shit you build in Warcraft. So it was a 2 for 1.
I don't. I wouldn't in any way consider this a minion.
All right.
We haven't.
I'll have to clarify what I mean by kind of exists in the Nexus. But once we get to the end, I'll have to clarify.
It's probably referenced, but it doesn't. Like people are aware of it.
No, you're definitely aware of it, but it exists. It exists in a different state in the Nexus than it does in Warcraft. Kind of.
Okay.
If I clarify more than that, then it'll just be giving away too much.
All right, so it's in the Warcraft universe. But
Yes, Alexander, it is in WoW. Or no, it's in Warcraft, it's in Hearthstone, and in the Nexus. Not in World of Warcraft, as far as I know.
And it's not a minion. All
I
right,
could be wrong. It could be in World of Warcraft, but I've never encountered this character.
Do we need to go down the person, place, thing route?
I think we should see if it's an object, because I'm getting the whole object feel.
Yeah, I don't sense this is a person of any kind. Tali, is this an object as opposed to a person or place? No.
Is it a person?
Yes. That's 10. You've got 5 minutes on the clock.
Should we ask if it's a...
Well, it's a person, but it's someone who's clearly not relevant because it's someone who's relevant in some way, shape, or form because it's not a minion. So,
Okay, I'm going to say out loud to Icarus what I think we could ask question-wise. If we ask whether it's a definite unit type in Warcraft, if it is, then we can try and figure out if it's a builder unit or a melee unit or a range unit.
yeah, I like that.
So is this a unit type in Warcraft, Charlie?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yes.
I think. Hold on.
Okay?
Can you
Is it-
construct this person?
I didn't play enough multiplayer of Warcraft 3 to know if you can control these or
Multiplayer
not.
Warcraft 3. This is the Defense of the Ancients, isn't it? You put Dota in somehow.
No, I mainly played the campaign, which I know this exists in the campaign, but I don't know if it's a controllable unit type or not. So I'll give you that one for free. I don't know.
Okay.
I think you can, but I don't know.
I'm getting like a peon vibe from this
Yeah, so am I.
because
Like, is
like
that-
there are peons in the Nexus. You just can't do anything with them, and they're just sitting there hammering the fucking buildings before the game starts. And then when they start, they run inside the barracks, and then you don't see them ever again.
So should we ask in the single player campaign, is this a builder unit? We could ask that.
Well, you could just ask if it's a builder unit in general.
Yeah, is this a builder unit in
No.
Warcraft? No.
Fudge.
Ooh.
That was the only thing I could think of was like, oh god,
So we're looking for something that is from Warcraft, and I think we probably need to think about the is in Hearthstone bit a little bit more. But it also kind of exists in the Nexus. But it's not a minion, not an object. Is a person, but not a unit.
wait.
Stop.
Wait. No, you said it was a person, so that makes it can't be a sheep. Damn it. I was like, there's a sheep in all of them. There's a sheep card. There's sheep walking around in Heroes, and if you click on sheep enough in Warcraft, they explode.
You're right. It could have been a critter.
2.5 minutes.
Is a person critter? Are critters people?
No. I'll answer that one for you.
Yeah. Cheers.
Okay. So,
Alexander, we do know for a fact that it is a character, so it's not going to be an ability. It is a character found in Warcraft, in Hearthstone, and in Heroes of the Storm.
is this a main character?
That's
Subjective.
that would be argued. That's subject to I don't know. Again, I'll give you that a freebie because.
Okay,
Is it a main character in Warcraft?
I wouldn't say this character is significant to Warcraft. No. But some people could argue that they are, but I would say no.
Okay, Tali, is this a named character?
Not in Warcraft.
Not in Warcraft, they're not a named character. Here we go.
Wait. It's not named in Warcraft, but it is.
It is in
But it
Hearthstone.
is elsewhere. Is there a Blade fucking dancer card? Or what is that? Is it Samuro? Or whatever, the Blade Runner guy? Blade dancer?
Oh, the Blade Master, Sumeru.
Yeah, Blade Master.
Hang on. Yeah, okay. I think that's actually that could be a good guess. Let's just check.
Is it?
Is the Blade Master in Hearthstone? But he definitely exists.
Yeah, he is, because he's in the Warrior deck and he hurts himself when you play him, I think.
Let's go with that. That sounds good. So, is it the Blade Master?
It's the Blade Master, yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. So, yes, he is Sumeru. So he's named in Heroes. He doesn't have a name in Hearthstone or in Warcraft. They're just a Blade Master. I don't know if they are a controllable unit or not in multiplayer, but I wasn't sure. I'm pretty sure you could play them in the Defense of the Ancients, but other than that...
Yeah, he was a hero in the defense. I think he was like a special, like you build him at like the Altar of the Storm or something like that. Maybe. I didn't really play much of the multiplayer. I played a ton of like Winter Mall Wars and those other custom games.
Yeah, but good job, guys. Good job. Definitely got it.
That went very bad to very good really quickly.
Well done you, Icarus. I think you pulled that one out.
Yeah,
well, the thing is like,
guys.
I complain about that so much about Surmo just being like a reskin from like, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway. That about does it for this week's episode of Geeks of Azeroth. I'm going to thank everybody for listening. As always, you can check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, right here on twitch.tv/Geeks of Azeroth at 9 a.m. Pacific time every Sunday morning. You can find us on Twitter at Geeks of Azeroth. Britza, where can we find you?
You can find me at Britzer_EG, and a quick shout out to Adesaunder. Happy belated birthday to you.
Oh, yes. Happy belated. Alexander. Icarus, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitch, Akarin_Night, or on Twitter at the same thing.
And you can find me on Twitter at EpicGeeksTarly. And remember to contact the show with questions, shoutouts, hate mail, fan mail, dick pics, whatever. Send it to geeksofazerotheg@gmail.com. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Can we send our own dick pics?
Do I need to take a picture of a guy named Richard?
Yes. This is my dick.